right, guys, well, no. Hey everybody, welcome back, and today I'm going to be starting this is going to be the first in a series of what's new at the drugstore. Now I know a lot of these products have been out for a month or two, but I really wanted to test out all of these new products that I've been picking up from the drugstore, really form some thoughts about them, and maybe throw some things that are brand new and share them with you guys. So I'm going to break them down by categories like foundation and eyeshadow and palettes and all that kind of good stuff. So the first one I'm going to be doing is new eyeshadow palettes at the drugstore, and I'm going to be sharing some swatches with you up here, and just kind of going over some of my thoughts. I'm going to try not to talk too much on all of these, just some quick thoughts to give you an idea, comparison of price, that kind of thing. So first off, let's talk about the Maybelline Rock Nudes palette. The palette was around $12 at the drugstore. And I look at it and it's one of those palettes that I just get really, really inspired by, and then I swatch it and I'm just disappointed. And I think the problem Maybelline has is that they pack their shadows so hard. They're so hard packed in here that you can't even get any pigment out of it, which is really disappointing because they have some really interesting, neat colors, and this is a really cool tone smoky palette. But I don't know, it's just, I feel like there's so many better eyeshadows out there that Maybelline really needs to step up their game as far as palettes are concerned. But if you're a die-hard Maybelline fan, there you go. The next palette I want to talk about, or the two palettes, are from Revlon, and I know these have been out for a while, but I haven't really touched on them yet on my channel. Now these are what are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-pan eyeshadow palette. These run about the same price. I got mine on sale for $10 a piece, I believe, at Walgreens, and there's two. There is Passionate Nudes, and then there is also Romantic Nudes. Now these palettes are, you know, very nice quality drugstore palettes. They are a little stiff to the touch. However, I do find them to be very blendable and very workable. I have created some looks that I really, really enjoy from these palettes. And I like both of these because I find that they're a nice balance of warm tone and cool tones in both of these palettes. Again, this is Passionate Nudes, which is the more golden one. And you do have some matte, so you've got a, this is like a matte with some shimmer in it, but it comes off matte on the eye. Matte deep crease color, matte deep brown color, and then some really beautiful lid colors. So again, a little stiffly packed on these, but the quality of the shadow is beautiful. I think if you can get these on sale, that's going to be your best bet. I would say they're almost as good as the La Palette Nudes, but I feel like the La Palette Nudes are just a little bit better, a little bit softer, more blendable, and maybe a little bit more intense. But these really are beautiful, and you do have some gorgeous shades in here. Again, you've got a matte highlight in here, you've got a matte transition shade, a matte deep dark shade. If you're going to go with any of these and you like the berry purple tones, I would go with the Romantic Nudes. I just think it's beautiful. So again, you have some warmer tones here, this one's coming off a little bit, so sorry, some warmer tones here and then some cooler tones. So again, a nice mix of warm and cool tones, although this is overwhelmingly cool tone. But again, these Revlon palettes are really nice. They're really well put together. They're sleek, don't take up a lot of space, and you get a nice size shadow for these. Another palettes that have recently been re-promoted are the Wet n Wild palettes. Now I've had these palettes for a while. Now I think they're called like Quartz and Latte or something like that. I have them these are just re-promotes of the Fergie line. So these are the exact same palettes, they just they have the Fergie logo on them. But I wanted to talk a little bit about these. These are great little palettes, and these have been out for about a year. They come with a nice, very usable dual-ended brush. I have used the brush in the looks, so this is a very usable brush. You've got like a flat shader brush and then a fluffy brush. Now this palette, mine is called Paris Runway. Again, I think it's called Quartz something. This palette is a very niche kind of palette. This is for somebody that's looking for a dramatic, deep, dark, smoky eye that likes those purpley, smoky eyes. Or a special occasion palette if you're going out clubbing, or you know, you want a nice palette for when you're going out to the club or New Year's or something like that. This is a great palette for that. Now there are no mattes in there, so you've got some beautiful shimmers. You've got every kind of dark, deep, charcoal, black shade you could want with different glitters. So I really do appreciate this palette as one that offers you a lot of options. So there isn't going to be a whole lot of difference, but the differences are subtle and they are really cool, because you've got a deep purple with like pink glitter, and then you've got a like a deep black and purple with bright purple glitter, and then you have a black with purple and pink glitter, and just a cool variety. This isn't going to be a palette that everybody needs or wants, but if you like collecting eyeshadow palettes, if you like those dramatic looks, this is a great drugstore option because you're not lacking on pigmentation. The other one in the collection, however, I think is, if you like neutrals, this is a must-have for everybody. This is the most wonderfully thought out drugstore palette. I love it. I have done a couple of videos with this, or at least one video I'll link down below. I have used this. It is just gorgeous. You have some cool tone shades in here. You have some warm tone shades, and the shades, when I say well thought out, I mean you have a true matte highlight, you have a matte transition shade, and then you have two matte crease shades, a dark brown and a black. Plus you have some absolutely just gorgeous lid shades. This palette is just so well thought out. It is $8. You get 10 shades in here, and it is just gorgeous. Everything you need, you have. You have got the beautiful accent shades, and then you could just do a completely matte eye look with this and be good. This is just, if you are somebody that is just looking for an all-purpose drugstore eyeshadow palette, this is one of the unsung heroes of the drugstore as far as I'm concerned. I absolutely love this palette. Let's move on to a brand new palette from L'Oreal. Now this is the L'Oreal La Palette Noir. Like the Quartz palette from Wet n Wild, this is going to be a niche palette. This is not as versatile as the La Palette Nude 1 or the La Palette Nude 2, but I really do like it, and I've heard a lot of people say they're not interested because there's not enough variation. However, if this is the kind of shadows you gravitate towards, you get a nice mix, and there are some subtle differences. You've got the silver blue, but then you have a more deeper grayish blue over here. You have a straight up silver there, you have a charcoaly silver, you have a matte black, you have a matte charcoal, you have a sparkly black. You have this really interesting kind of navy color that really does show up navy. It doesn't show up black, it shows up navy. It's beautiful. You have this beautiful blue. I mean, just some great, and I have used these shades. I need to experiment more with this palette, but again, if you like cool toned smoky eyes, but are not a purple fan, you know, don't go with the Quartz one from Wet n Wild, go with the La Palette Noir. This is a beautiful palette, and again, I find that the quality of these are right on par with the first La Palette Nudes. I mean, they're just really beautiful. So this one ranges right around the same price as the first one, around $15, $16. Again, if you are not a deep, dark, smoky, dramatic type of guy, don't waste your time on this because you don't need it. But if you like these deeper, darker, dramatic looks, if you have brown eyes, this would be gorgeous with brown eyes. It might be something you want to explore. But it is, so far, I'm really liking this palette. But I liked the first, the L'Oreal La Palette 1 and La Palette 2. I liked both of those. I know there are some mixed reviews on them, but I like them. All right, guys, we're kind of going through this. I'm kind of proud of myself. All right, the next palettes I want to talk about are the TruNakeds from Covergirl, and I do have all three. So I have the roses, I have the nudes, and I also have the goldens. Now, these are, kind of really putting themselves out there for Covergirl, considering the fact that they are pretty much saying, yes, we are a ripoff of, not a ripoff, but a dupe of the Naked palettes. However, I do really like these. Again, really well thought out palettes. The nudes is probably my favorite out of all of them. Again, you've got a matte highlight, a matte transition, a deep matte black, and a deep matte brown, which I think is beautiful. And then you have these gorgeous, gorgeous lid shades. I mean, so really nice. These are very soft, very blendable. I find they are going to kick up some powder because they are so soft, but as far as Covergirl goes, I was blown away with these palettes. Right around $11, $12 depending on where you get them. Absolutely beautiful. So I like the nudes one. This is the more cool toned palette, which I'm really liking the cool tones right now. They're just calling my name. The roses one is also gorgeous. I did do a look with this on my Instagram. Absolutely love it. Again, you don't have a matte highlight, but you have one that is, it's like a satin matte. You have a nice matte transition shade. You don't have a deep dark matte crease shade, but some of these shades are just so beautiful, and I have used this deeper one in the lid, in the crease. I have not had a problem with it at all. This shade is just gorgeous. I mean, these matte shades are so pretty. So again, the roses one, if you were thinking about the Naked 3 and didn't want to get it, you know, my first suggestion would be to go and buy the Reveal 2 palette from Coastal Scents, but if you don't want to order it online, or if you just want it in your hands, you want to see it before you buy it, this would be a good option for you. And then the last one is the Goldens palette. So this one, I really enjoy this one because I think it's such a unique twist for drugstore palettes. Yes, there are some beautiful golds in here that are just stunning. Again, you've got a matte cream highlight, a transition shade, a deep dark matte crease shade, but some of the all of the greens and golds and kind of camo colors in here are really what just gets me about this palette. Absolutely stunning. And I think the fact that they threw those greens and olives in there just makes this palette so unique in the drugstore, to where if you have some neutral palettes in your collection, you could add this one and it wouldn't be redundant, because there are just some absolutely stunning shades in here. Plus, again, it's well thought out. It's a complete palette. You have the highlight, you know, that's what I look for. A matte highlight, a matte crease shade or transition shade, and a matte deep dark defining shade or crease shade. Absolutely beautiful. And I think another nice touch that Covergirl did was they gave all of the shadows names. It's not necessary. It's something that's fun, and it shows an attention to detail that really, I think, is kind of striving for what they have to surpass what they have been doing in the past as far as eyeshadows. And I appreciate that effort. I know that could be superfluous to a lot of people, but you know, for somebody who enjoys makeup and the art of makeup and the packaging, it's a special little touch. And I do like that all of these have names. I just think it's cool. All right, the next palettes I want to talk about are the new ones from Milani, and I do have all 4. Now, there are 2 more that you can get online. There is a purple themed one, and then there's one that is just all bright shimmery colors. They are beautiful. I've seen swatches, but I just have the ones in the store. They do come with a little brush in here, which is not the greatest. It's not as good as the one in the Wet n Wild palettes, but you know, you can use it. But these, again, are just really well thought out palettes, and they're gorgeous. The mattes in here blend out beautifully. The shimmers are gorgeous. I mean, just the colors themselves are just beautiful. This one is O2 Bare Necessities. So this is your more warm neutrals. And then you have this one, which is the Smoky Essentials. I actually use this palette in my New Year's Eve look. I'll link that down below. Absolutely gorgeous. Again, matte highlight, matte transition, defining color, and then you have these other beautiful colors, and this blue is just so gorgeous. Again, it's Milani package. I love the packaging. Earthy Elements. Again, a really unique eyeshadow color range for the drugstore. And then this one is my favorite. This is the must-have neutrals. I use this one. This was the first one I used. Again, you've got a nice transition shade. You know, it isn't matte, but it is workable as a highlight. This transition shade I'm just in love with. And this black, it is not the deepest, darkest black you will ever use. However, when I put this on my eye and started blending out my crease, I was floored by how blendable it was. Now, I don't know if that's the case for everybody. I have heard some people say that they're not as impressed with the mattes, but as far as I'm concerned with blendability for these mattes, I absolutely I couldn't believe how blendable and beautiful they were. So these are $10 at the drugstore, worth every single penny. I know some people are saying that was a little pricey, but the quality of what you get for the $10 for those 6 shades surpasses, as far as I'm concerned, any of the other palettes I'm going to talk about, except for maybe one, and that is this one. This is one of the new Avant Pop palettes from NYX. Now there's 3 more of these. There's one that's kind of got some pastel bright colors, and one that has got just some straight up neon bright colors. This one just kind of drew me in. This is the Nouveau Chic one, and I've done several looks on my Instagram with it. I have just this palette, when I look at it, it just inspires me, and I don't know why, because you have some cool neutrals and some, you know, more neutrally colors and some warm neutrals, but then you have these colors like this green and this blue. I mean, this palette, I don't know what it is. It is fun and it's funky, but in a this highlight shade, by the way, it's so good. It's so good. It just inspires me. It's sophisticated in a funky way. I love this palette. I'm so super impressed, and I love this transition shade right here. This is such a unique shade, but I am obsessed with this as a transition shade for a warm smoky eye. It is beautiful. Now this palette is a little bit more expensive. This is a 10, you get 10 shadows and it's right around $16, $17 depending on where you get it. But if you are looking at these shadows and you're kind of on the fence about them, I'd say you can't go wrong. You know, I wouldn't say you need all of them, but pick the one that speaks to you. And this one just, when you look at an eyeshadow palette, you should be inspired. It should get you excited. I mean, it's art for your face. I mean, and this kind of embodies that. And I absolutely love this palette. It's just one of my favorites. All right, the next two palettes I'm going to talk about I just got, but I did want to bring them up because I haven't heard a lot of people talking about them and I just think they're fun. So the first one is Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. Now this movie's coming out. This is one of my favorite books. This is, so, you know, I saw this and I was like, well, I love the packaging. I think the packaging is just stunning. I think that's what drew me in. But then you open it up and you get a mirror right here and you have a quote and it says, "I shall never relinquish my sword for a ring, Elizabeth Bennet." And I just love that. But I thought that it was just such a beautiful palette. Now, some of the shades in here are a little powdery, like the highlight shades. I'm wearing this palette today in conjunction with the next palette I'm going to show you. I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful earthy tones with some pops of purple and gold in there. You know, it's not the most buttery standout palette I have ever owned, but I think it's good quality. I really like it. It's one of those palettes that you're just kind of drawn to because of the packaging. It's not always a good thing, but I'm very pleasantly surprised with it. Again, I haven't heard really anybody talk about it. And then they just have some beautiful shades down here. So you've got a beautiful golden highlight shade, which might be a little deep for me, but it's going to be gorgeous as an eyeshadow, I think. Let me clean off my hands. And then this blush is just one of those blushes. You've got a matte blush and a shimmery blush, which is just that kind of pink with gold turn to it, very subtle matte blush, and then a beautiful gold highlight, which actually is not quite as intense and dark as I thought it was going to. I mean, it's intense, but it's not quite as dark as it looks in the pan, so that might be workable. But this is just a beautiful palette if you're a Pride and Prejudice fan. If you just like these kind of earth tones, these mauve tones, again, you get these matte highlight shades. I appreciate they give you a pinky one and a yellow one. They are workable. Again, I'm wearing them today. They went on just fine, but when you swatch them, they're not going to be that impressive, which you'll see in the swatches. You know, you get a nice black, you get this really cool terracotta brown, and just some gorgeous shimmery shades. So I'm excited to dig into this more, and I'm absolutely loving the look that I have on today, you know, to toot my own horn. And the very last palette I want to talk to you about is one that I just bought on a whim. I went online to buy this one, and this one was right around 12, 13 bucks, I believe. And I went online to buy that one because I wanted that palette, and I saw this one and I was just very intrigued because, you know, BH Cosmetics has those big 88 palettes and all that kind of stuff, but these are kind of a newer format that they're coming out with. And it said foil, and this one is called the Foil Eyes 28 color eyeshadow palette. I just didn't quite know what to expect with this one. This is blowing my socks off. I am wearing this color in my crease today. I am wearing this color along my lid, inner portion of my lid, and I'm wearing this color on the outer portion of my lid. These shades, oh my God. I need to play around with them more. I'm gonna just swatch a few of these. I'm gonna put all the swatches up here, but I mean, guys, this is BH Cosmetics. This is a big step up from their 88 palettes. Not that they were bad, but you look back at some of their earlier palettes, like the 88 palettes and the Eyes on the 60 palette. This is ridiculous. I mean, I swatched. I'm gonna, you know, like I said, I'm gonna have them all up here. I don't know why I feel the need to swatch them. I just have to put my fingers in them. But these, like some of these bronzy shades, oh my goodness. I mean, they are just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous shadows. And just, again, I've only used those on this look today. Really, really super impressed. I love the way they look. I love the way they apply. They apply just fine with brushes. I applied some foiled and some just how they come in the palette. But you know, if you're looking at the Makeup Geek shadows, which I don't have any of those, I would like to try some just because I've heard they're so fantastic. But if those are not an option for you price-wise, this palette was $13. $13 for 28 shadows, and they are all gorgeous. I have swatched them all. They're on my Instagram. I'm just so super impressed with this palette. So if you want to see a more detailed, you know, review on this, or maybe a couple of looks with this palette, let me know down below. But this is definitely, if you are in the market for a fun, gorgeous, bright, over the top palette, this is such a good investment. Absolutely. Just, I can't even talk. I'm so blown away by it. All right, guys. Well, those are just my thoughts on some of these new palettes coming out in the drugstore. Again, some of them, if we want to talk about essentials out of these, if I had to pick, I know I just went through a lot of palettes. I can't. So this one would definitely be my fun color pick. Must have 28 colors for $13. Can't beat it. If you were looking for a neutral palette, I would go with this one. I would go with this one. So I would go with the Wet n Wild Latte one. The Must Have Neutrals from Milani is a close second. The only reason this one is not winning is because this one is just cool. This one is cool and warm. So the BH Cosmetics one, the Wet n Wild one, and I would say the Avant Pop palette. I know, again, these have been out for a couple months, but these are just, if you were out of this whole batch, if you're going to pick up any, these are the ones that I would recommend. I just think they're stunningly beautiful. So be looking for more of these what's new at the drugstore category videos. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you, gave you a little bit better idea if you haven't picked these up yet and you're thinking about it. But as always, you guys have an amazing day. Have a rockin' week. And remember, love your flaws, because that's what makes you you and what makes you beautiful. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.